at some point. Oh, yes.
Look at that.
Dr. Jon.
Hey, how's it going?
It worked.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. I was just listening to everybody, or to Alicia and her story. I'm friends with her on Facebook, so I followed it a little bit, but it's good to hear, firsthand.
Absolutely.
I want to be Facebook friends.
What's that?
She wants to be Facebook
I want to be Facebook friends.
Yeah, friend me.
Okay.
This is Julie and this is Mike. They are co-hosting with me today. I was doing some refreshing on the book today and taking some notes, so I'm sure the three of us have a lot of questions. But first, I just want to know, how did you get started with LifeWave?
I got started in April of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right when all that stuff started happening. And a friend of mine, Savvy Vargas, called me and said, he asked me what I knew about stem cells. And I told him I had stem cell injections in both of my knees. And it kind of helped a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just said, what if you could elevate your own stem cells with a patch? And I instantly went into cognitive dissonance. Like, what is that? And then I got it. I instantly, as soon as I understood how they worked, I knew this was going to be big and started using them back then.
And so when did you write the book, your first book, How to Reverse Aging?
I published it last August, the end of August of last year. And I was motivated by all of the profound shifts I had in my own heart health. I started digging through all the literature and said, how in the heck did this happen? Mm-hmm. And so that led to writing that book. And so it has 91 references to research. It's not anything I made up. It's not a novel. It's based on all of the research that's been done since 1977 on the GHK copper peptide.
Wow.
Yes. Do you guys have any questions before I ask another one?
So Doc, I mean, like what, so you see the copper peptides and everything else, right? And I know you talked about like some of the things that they can do. So, with wound care, with anti-aging, skin care, regenerative medicine. I mean, it really kind of seems to me like going through the book and everything else, like this technology with the GHK and AHK and all these different peptides is really the key to unlocking a lot of things that maybe we couldn't do before, or at least that our bodies couldn't do before, like kind of giving them what they need to actually work properly. I mean, is that kind of accurate? Like, would you say like that's kind of like...
Yeah, the accepted way is that we get older. Well, you're just getting older. You don't have any energy and you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, it doesn't have to be this slide into frailty and disability. The whole book is about maintaining your health and vitality and your vigor into your later years and being productive and being able to travel. And, I ask the questions of everyone, project out into your older life in years and ask yourself these questions. And the number one, I think, is, will I even remember who I am?
Oh,
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Will I remember who I am? Will I be hooked up to machines? Will my joints work without pain? Will I be able to travel? Those are important things to project out. What is my life going to look like? Well, the GHK copper peptide helps answer those questions to the affirmative. Yes, I am going to remember who I am. My joints are going to work without pain. Everybody's different and everybody responds and everybody has different genetics and nutrition and health status. But if you can increase your GHK copper peptide, one of the most important things known in the literature is that it turns on the genes that signal your body to make more of your own stem cells. So for the first time in history, this thought can go through a doctor's mind as he makes a prognosis. This patient's going to be elevating their stem cells every day. This changes the prognosis of everything, really. So that some of the stuff from the book, but if you want, I can give you some things that it does in the brain or the heart or for workouts or whatever you want me to talk about.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know what your DR represents, and that's fine. But my daughter has seven mental health, so DSM, 7 DSM diagnoses starting at age 4 up to age 19. They don't exist anymore. And she's been patching 3 months. So I would love for you to tap into the brain, although I suspect it might also be brain gut. Her major diagnosis is autism, but her most recent diagnosis was BPD.
Well, my practice, I still have a full-time practice, and it's called Clear Mind Idaho.
Okay.
So we actually treat autistic kids
Okay.
in my office. We use the patches as part of our protocols because of a brain study that was done. And briefly, it was what my board certification is in QEEG and neurofeedback. So we look at the electrical balance or imbalance in the brain. You know, it runs on electricity,
Yeah.
and there's a normal amount of activity that should occur. So the study was looking at a measurement called coherence. That's how much crosstalk there is between lobes.
Okay.
There should be a normal amount. If you have what's called hypercoherence, that means the brain's not working right, and the right side of the brain kind of recruits the left, and the left recruits the right, and now they're processing the same information rather than independently, and then kind of cross-connecting and coordinating their information. So the more hypercoherence one has, the more autistic they are.
That makes so much sense.
The more hypocoherence one has, the more they are into cognitive decline because they can't think, they can't coordinate stuff. So the study showed that wearing the X39 for 6 weeks. So they did a brain map at the beginning, the brain map at 3 weeks, and brain map at 6 weeks. And everybody in the study had less hypercoherence and less hypocoherence. So they came down from being more autistic and up from being more in cognitive decline.
Incredible.
So that's that connection right there.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you do the SPECT scans? Do you do that type of brain mapping, or is that done somewhere else?
I used to do the QEEGs.
Okay.
And that was the reason for that was to get protocols to set in the machines to train the brain. Okay. So that took 40 to 60 sessions. It's kind of a long time, 5 to 6 months worth of care.
I'm a Velkoff patient. I am a patient, graduate, I guess, of the Drake Institute. Mm-hmm. But the Drake Institute actually triggered my daughter and made her worse, which you might understand. I don't, and I don't need to during this live. But I did have a SPECT scan done. My daughter's a patient of Dr. Daniel Amen and has been since she was 5. And so that's what's interesting is you understand. I could have a complete conversation with you about this outside of here, but I'm telling you the patch changed her life in a matter of a week. But she's only 26.
I've received referrals from the AIM clinic.
Yeah, because he doesn't practice anymore. He doesn't. He just writes books and does book tours now. Sorry, no, I didn't mean to. Not being the doctor. You're treating millions of patients, right?
We could go down a rabbit hole with that right there.
You can go with you. Trust me. Yeah. She's down every
you don't know what I do for a living, right, Krystal? It's literally what I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's fascinating because that actually makes so much sense on why she's better. And then my kid with the traumatic brain injury is also better. So we've got massive testimonials in this house, but I don't know how to explain it to people, whereas your book does, it sounds like.
Well, another interesting thing about the GHK, okay, our brain needs copper to make new neurons, new synapses, and new neurotransmitters. It needs it to make a substance called BDNF. That's what your body secretes when you're doing new tasks. That's what neuroplasticity is all about, growing new neurons to make new connections. Because, hey, she's done this every day for at least a minute. She's probably going to want to do it again. So I should make these new neurons and more cross connections so she can do it better. So you have to have copper to make that. The GHK is what escorts copper across the blood-brain barrier to deliver it where it's needed in the brain. And then it holds on to it until it's needed rather than having free copper float around. That's toxic. The GHK holds on to it and then delivers it to the brain. So it starts that whole process of getting stuff into the brain that's needed to make new stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Someone just asked, and you can quickly answer this. How is GHK related to X39? That's an easy one.
LifeWave had a study done, and what they did is they took the blood of the participants, and then it was a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study. So some of the people wore the X39, some didn't. They took blood to begin with, blood at 24 hours and blood at 7 days, and measured whether or not wearing the X39 actually elevated the GHK copper peptide. Now, the company can't talk about that anymore. The other F word, the FDA, is imposing a lot of restrictions on them because they don't want people to get well. And so we have to be a little bit careful, writing that on social media and all that stuff. But I know, I've read the study. The study was done, it elevated the GHK. To determine any potential benefit of wearing the patch, you just turn to the literature that's been done since 1977. What is known about the GHK copper peptide? That's why I wrote the book. So we have a reference of, what does it do for this? I don't know. That's on page 222. Take a picture of it, text it to somebody.
Yep.
We're not making claims about the patch. What does the patch do? Does it do this? No, it elevates GHK.
And what does GHK do?
Well, what does GHK do?
Yep.
So in the book, I talk about ways that you can get GHK. One of my really good friends, I used to sublease space from him. He does integrative cancer care, so alternative cancer care. He uses the GHK copper peptide as part of his protocols because they have anti-cancer properties, or it has anti-cancer properties. Wow. So you can get it in an infusion, you can get an injection, you can get it in a cream or a lotion or a shampoo from a dermatologist, or now LifeWave, or you can wear this photobiomodulation patch. I talk about that in the book. I don't mention the patch. I didn't want it to be an advertisement. I don't mention the company or the patch, but I talk about how this photobiomodulation patch has been shown to elevate GHK.
Mm-hmm. And what is I read a lot about the skin stuff, because your whole book says how to reverse aging. And someone in here said, I wish you could reverse your age. We're so programmed to believe that we're not able to do these things because pharmaceuticals and the whole industry, the whole business of it.
Right. And there are so many skin benefits. It helps. First of all, it helps. GHK is known as the great repairer of collagen. Well, what in our body is made of collagen? Pretty much everything. All of our connective tissue, collagen. Our bone matrix, collagen. Our skin, collagen. Our blood vessels, collagen. Our muscles, collagen. We have to have that. So when someone starts using the X39, and I always kind of chuckle under my breath when they say, well, I used it for 4 days and I really didn't notice anything. I used it for 2 months. I didn't notice anything. I didn't notice anything for 4.5 months. Yeah. But over a period of 2 years, the right bundle branch block in my heart went away. That's important.
Wow.
And also, how are you going to feel when your arteries are being strengthened and it's also repairing the elastin in your arteries so that they're flexible? Are you measuring that?
Right.
What are you measuring? I didn't feel anything. Well, what were you measuring? Well, I don't know. I just didn't feel anything. Well, did you feel your hair follicles getting thicker? Did you feel the increase in the number of follicles you have on your scalp? No. So in other words, how I feel, always ask.
He's getting too good. Wait, we lost you for a second.
Oh, I was saying, when somebody starts using the X39 and they say, well, I'm going to see how I feel, always ask this question. All right, let's establish from the beginning, what are you going to be measuring?
Right.
Right.
Mine was the crater in my forehead. That's what I measured.
The crater in your forehead? That's
I
funny.
tested nothing and I look like 10 years younger.
In a month, though, Dr. John,
Yeah, in
in
a
1 month, I have to send you her before and after because it's
Crazy.
unbelievable. 1 month.
I would love to have you send that to me.
Yes.
It's pretty nuts.
It's crazy.
My hair started turning brown again from back to front. It's
Wow.
gotten a little
Wow.
more gray, but I got about 4 more years out of not being so gray. So that was pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
That's one of the first things I noticed was my hair growth to the point of like fuzzies. You know what I mean? Like they could just new growth, almost like the babies get here. Yeah, that happened right away for me.
My wife lifted up her bangs and said, "Look at all that new growth right there." So she's going to be 60 in January, and I'm going to be 70 in July.
Wow.
Incredible.
Oh my God, you look amazing.
Thank you. We are ecstatic about, all of the changes that are happening and the changes that I don't even know are happening. Now think about this. Had I not had my first stress echocardiogram, and I had it because I had this flutter in my heart. They were PDCs. Had I not had that test, I never would have known I had a right bundle branch block. It would have gone away, and I never would have even known I had it. Yet, I am the benefactor of many more healthy years because I don't have a right bundle branch block. If you have that, look it up just Google it. Go to PubMed, type in right bundle branch block. Here's what you're going to hear. All-cause mortality goes up. All-cause mortality. Yeah. I guess anything you have is going to get worse if you have a right bundle branch block. So to not have that is huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What patches have you been wearing?
I started out with X39 only. I didn't even know about any of the other patches for months. We were just focused on the X39. I started using pretty much all of them. Yeah. Once I found out what they did, I said, why wouldn't I do that? I'm more prone to take care of myself rather than waiting until I have something that I have to, take a drug for or have surgery. I would much rather keep my parts healthy. So I started using them all. I had a terribly degenerated knee. I was a very, let's say, aggressive skier when I was younger, and I broke my leg, tore the cartilage in my knee, and it was really, it was so bone on bone, there was no cartilage left. So I had that knee replaced prior to even finding out about the X39. And because I was favoring it so much, but all the cartilage wore off the other one. So I had that one done, and that's what prompted the visit to the cardiologist because of this heart thing going on. Well, to this day, the scar on the most recent surgery is still much less noticeable than the one that I had prior to using the X39.
Interesting.
And I have, they're both.
Yep.
I've had them both replaced.
Wow.
But six months later, no, I'm using the patches. 6 months after my second knee replacement, we hiked up Angel's Landing in Zion's Park with no pain.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy but true.
Yeah. I'd say
amazing.
So I've been really passionate about sharing this technology over the last 4 years. And I have always, since I was a little boy, I always got joy out of helping people with their health. And, but naturally, I've been preaching things, how terrible cholesterol or statin drugs are, and don't take aspirin and don't drink soda. And just stuff from the time I was little. But these patches are on a next level.
Yeah.
It's on a quantum level. It's light, it's frequency.
Yeah.
It's helping the body be the best it can be with energy you're already making reflected back into you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, like, again, there's your book.
How to reverse aging.
No,
Just so everybody knows what
it's right here. Wait a minute. There's two of them. There's two of them in existence.
No.
Now, I do want to mention, I am publishing in about a week.
Yes.
The second book, and it's about EPITALON, and that's the peptide that gets elevated when you wear the Alavita patch.
Julie's favorite.
EPITALON is known as the great repairer of telomeres. Those are the endings of your genes that get shorter as cells divide, and EPITALON actually activates your body to make more telomerase, which repairs the ending of your telomeres. A lot more stuff.
I can't even speak that language.
Well, that's why I wrote the book, so people can, digest it and really understand it. You don't have to be a doctor, and you don't have to write books. You don't have to get up in front of people and do presentations. But if you have one or two talking points in the back of your head, when somebody asks you something, you can answer it and put it to rest rather than, trying to make something up. Right. Or, people sense authenticity. Yep. Authenticity has the highest vibration, higher than love.
Yep.
So they sense when we're not really sure of ourselves. So this is one of the reasons I wrote the book. So you can study it on your own time and then just highlight 2 sentences. That's it. 2 sentences that are easy for you to remember. When a doctor asks you, well, what about this? And you can go, oh, yeah, well, this does this, this, and this. It activates production of telomerase. And he'll go, holy crap, this person right. Actually had the answer to that. So don't think you have to be a doctor or write books. You do not. I did that. You don't have to do that.
Love it.
Wait, what prompted you to write this second book? Clearly, you're wearing the Alavita, right?
Oh, yes. Every night.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah. Alavita gives me wild dreams. I tell this every week. Sometimes I don't even know where I am when I wake up after Alavita. I'm like, sometimes I'm in such a deep sleep. It's crazy.
I'm telling you, people who have had anxiety-induced insomnia, like I did, we had a suicide and a murder in my family within a year.
What?
My daughter's husband was murdered, and I had anxiety-induced insomnia. I would wake up in the middle of the night, my heart would be pounding. I thought for sure I would die. And to now sleep through the night is wonderful.
Yeah. That's very relatable. What you just said is so relatable, and it's so important. You know what I mean? Your books, I'm literally a huge fan now. I'm just like, thank you for writing these.
I deal with people who have sleep problems every day. They come in for insomnia or autism or anxiety or cognitive decline, whatever it is in the brain, and they're hitting a home run for them. If the only thing I did was give them restorative sleep. Guess what I've done? I've helped prevent Alzheimer's and then they're later in their years or depression.
Well, Dr. Jon, I was given 3 children on the spectrum when the stats were 1 in 188 in DSM-3. So when I got 100%, I was like, I can't win the lottery. I can't go to Vegas and hear the cha-ching. But God gave me 3 for 3.
Wow.
And so you know when you say anxiety-induced insomnia.
Yeah.
They did studies that said raising 1 child with autism was the equivalent of serving on the front line during a war. That's what our adrenal glands are doing. And I had that times 3 as a single mom. And so this tool that you've provided is exactly what my brain needs to explain to people why Maddie is doing so well, because you have to understand that piece that you just shared.
Yeah. Yes. And that helps you come from a place of authenticity when you're telling people about these patches. because you come from a place of knowing. And if you can read it in an understandable form, you can grasp it, you can own it, and then you can deliver it when you're speaking to people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one autistic child is a full-time job almost. So I don't know how you did it.
Twins. They were diagnosed simultaneously.
Oh my God.
And then the little one. Yeah, it's been my whole life. It's been literally my whole life.
Wow. That's something.
But the new baby, nada. Not me. My granddaughter.
Oh.
Not your baby.
Not reversing age that much.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about the new book. So, why did you decide to write it, though? I mean, all the patches are great, but Alavita is definitely, I mean, they're all special in their own way.
Yeah.
But Alavita is kind of next level.
Alavita is the second most powerful patch. That's one of the big reasons. But also, once people around the world started buying the book and reaching out to me and thanking me for writing it, I thought, I need to write one about the second most powerful patch. And so I started digging through it, and I said, you know what? There's enough here that people need to know about that most people in LifeWave don't know, because they don't talk about it.
I can't wait to read it. Yes.
Yeah. It's known as the Fountain of Youth peptide in the literature. And if you look up EPITALON, lots of studies have been done about it. There was a long-term study done with humans, and the humans in the study who didn't get the placebo lived 8 to 12 years longer.
What?
In this long-term study.
Yeah.
So
a couple of studies where it said in a couple of the trials or a couple of the studies that in humans it increased lifespan 30 to 40% even, just by stimulating that peptide and everything else.
Yeah, so the telomeres, think the end of your shoelace, the little plastic cap, and the shoelace is the double helix strand of the genetic information. Each time a cell divides, it has to come apart. Those genes have to come apart. And then you lose a little length in your telomere. That's kind of a little throwaway part so that you don't lose genetic information when you divide. Then they come back together. You only get so many cellular divisions, and then it reaches what's called the Hayflick limit after Dr. Hayflick, and the cell dies, because now, instead of losing some length in that telomere, you're actually losing part of your genes. And so that cell dies. If you can repair them, and this is what the literature shows with the EPITALON, each cell can divide 30% more times without dying. So think about that. You can go to a lab, they can draw your blood, and they will tell you, they will measure your telomeres and tell you about how much longer you have to live. Because the older you get, the shorter your telomeres. So EPITALON signals the release of telomerase from the pineal gland, and it repairs our telomeres. And so you get 30% more cellular divisions. That's one of the big things that EPITALON is known for. And it's one of the reasons that I wrote the book. So it's like we can, get all that information out there and have it in our head. Don't put it on social media. Have it in your head. Just memorize 1 or 2 sentences about every topic.
Oh my God. How often are you supposed to wear Alavita? Or do you wear Alavita?
I do. Absolutely.
Every night? No, every night?
At night, because it increases melatonin.
No,
so
I'm saying every night do you wear it?
I use Alavita every night, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
some
because
people say a couple nights, some people say 5 nights, some people say every night.
some people need to use the Alavita and the Silent Night because they're so bad.
What? I couldn't imagine. I would be in a plane somewhere right out of this.
Everybody's different,
Yeah.
So, some people just need a little bit. And the same is true with our protocols at my office. I use cold laser. We use microcurrent neurofeedback. The laser increases ATP production in the brain. Then we train it with the microcurrent, untraining it basically from the faulty pattern. But everybody's different. No two people get the same protocol in my office because everybody's different.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the patches. Some people need the glutathione maybe 3 days a week. Some people might need it more. Some people have genetic defects, like in their detox pathways. I do. I have the MTHFR defect from mom and dad. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad.
Wow.
So it changes. It changes the way we respond to everything, whether it's a supplement, a food, or the patches. Everybody's a little different.
That's amazing.
You want to know a couple of things about heart health before?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Very important subject.
That's why I'm bringing it up. So heart health, two things you want to think about. You got stroke and you have myocardial infarction. So that's deprivation of oxygen, and that's a heart attack. So the number one predictor of your possibility, your probability of having a stroke is an increase in fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is what our body makes, and it makes our red blood cells a little sticky. And why would you say, why do we want to have sticky blood cells? The reason is if you get a cut or a bleed, you have to be able to stick enough of those together to form a patch or a clot so that you don't bleed out. But you don't want it to be too sticky. So if your body is making more fibrinogen, you are much more likely to have a stroke because the cells get really sticky. And then if enough of them stick together, now they're blocking the entire little capillary or artery or whatever it is. So GHK copper peptide actually influences or inhibits a gene that codes to make part of the fibrinogen molecule.
Wow.
So it keeps fibrinogen level in check so that it doesn't get too high.
Okay.
The other thing that GHK does for the cardiovascular system, I already talked about a little bit, and that is helping repair the collagen. You think about our arteries. What happens if they're weak? Aneurysm. What happens if they're not flexible? They're rigid, and now you have high blood pressure. So if you can keep them strong and flexible, you're much less likely to have those things. So you look at that, and one more thing. Anywhere in the body where there's a deprivation of oxygen, there's a process that starts. The hypoxia or deficiency in oxygen triggers a reaction in the brain. The brain directs traffic, sends GHK down to the site, GHK copper peptide.
Wow.
It activates enzymes locally to digest little tiny holes into the muscle so that new capillaries can grow in. That's why you see the picture of the little boy with the fingertip that got cut off. The surgeon used to sew it back on because he said it's going to die. There's no capillaries. The dad said, I have this patch.
Oh my God.
The surgeon said, I'll sew it back on. The surgeon said it would die. It died. That's why it's black. But the capillaries rapidly grew back into it and saved the finger. Think about that in the heart. If the heart's deprived of oxygen, the brain should sense it, send down GHK, make more arterial flow to that heart muscle. So think about that in the long term.
Yeah.
If I have enough of this, I'm going to keep doing that and making new capillaries so that I can keep oxygen going to my heart.
Wow. This when you think you know a lot about the patches.
Yeah.
We're always learning something new.
I'm actually getting a lot of answers to questions I had 4 months ago that are lining up as you're talking about this. Things are clicking like Legos over here.
Yeah.
Clicking like Legos. I haven't heard that one before. Clicking like Legos.
Well, I've had two strokes, which shouldn't surprise you knowing my history now.
Right.
And I had a heavy detox on the patches week 1. So I've heard, you can actually answer this, that we stroke patients, I guess, I don't know what to call myself, are sensitive to glutathione. Is that true?
Stroke patients?
Yeah, somebody who said that to me, Krystal. Somebody said if you have a history of stroke, something about the glutathione. I don't know. Like, that's a dumb question, but that's kind of what somebody answered me when I was like, why did I react? When other people take the X39, they're like, well, nothing's happening. I'm like, lots of things are happening over here.
Yeah, and everybody's different. I haven't heard the connection between glutathione, but then
Okay. Well, then I'm going to read your book and put that over here.
Yeah.
that makes me think, are all things equal?
Right?
Glutathione, right. Absent GHK, who knows? I've actually talked to people. I do three-way calls with team members, and this one guy came on and he said he's been on Coumadin for a long time, and then he started using X39, and all of a sudden his need for Coumadin went way down because the blood wasn't they didn't have to make it, quote, thinner.
Okay.
He had to cut his Coumadin dose way down. Now, I want to make sure everybody knows I'm not making claims. I'm not telling you to stop your Coumadin. And, your experience may be different than anything I've said on here tonight. Right. The results that I mentioned about myself may not be typical, but that's what happened to me. And that's what happens, that everybody's a little bit different. Yep. And I'm not your doctor. I'm a doctor, but not your doctor. So I'm not making any diagnosis or prognosis of anybody. And those are kind of the disclaimers we have to do because of that other F word.
FTC.
Indeed.
Oh,
the FDA, the wonderful FDA.
Yeah. Dr.
So,
John, we have to have you on again soon.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Deal.
Once a new book drops.
When is the book dropping?
It'll be out in a week. I got the final manuscript, but I'm having a couple of people proofread it to make sure everything's perfect.
Okay.
And then I'll upload it into Amazon. I'll let you know when it's available.
Please
they say it can take up to a week after you submit it, but they usually have them done in a couple of days.
Okay. Yes, let us know. I'll post it and everything. And if you want, once it's released, come back on and we can talk more about it. And we'll all have our copies. I won't get the Kindle version, I promise. I'm going to get the physical copy. Everything is in my friggin' Kindle on my phone, so I'm like a weirdo.
That's good.
But I'll have the physical.
That QR code that I gave you is, if people scan that when you're gonna post it later.
Yes.
It'll take you to howtoreverseaging.org, and they can get a free download of this chapter summary. Ooh. Or they can buy the book right from that site.
Nice.
Okay, amazing. We would love to support you.
Awesome.
Very
Thanks, guys.
It's been fun. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in October. Are you going?
Yes. We're gonna all have to go.
Good.
They're like, what's in October? The
convention.
What's it called? The convention.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll figure it out and get over there.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right.
It was so good to chat with you. Thank you so
chatting
much.
with you. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Have a good night, darling. John. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. How cool is that?
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Julie, you're gonna love the book. You're just gonna keep reading. I mean,
I'm
you
gonna
love
buy
this.
both of them. We're gonna put a link on their site to buy them.
Yeah. Definitely. That'd be awesome.
Jack's right on freaking Q.
Jen's outside. Yes, right on Q. Jen's outside saying, "Let me in." I can't.
Oh, CJ's on as well. CJ jumped on for a minute.
I saw that she was in. She said hi. We're gonna go live on Monday with CJ. It'll be fun.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes. CJ Dunning's coming on live Monday, guys. We got her on. We got a patch on her today.
Yes, I think it's gonna help her tremendously, for sure. But Jen's screaming outside. Look at her. She's going crazy. I can just hear the way that she's screaming.
We'd have to keep it at an hour?
Yeah. And it's already over an hour. So, yeah. So I'll repost this. And if you guys want to rewatch it, please do. And I will put the QR code in my stories, and I'll tag you guys in it too, so you can do the same. That book's going to be crazy. Like the Alavita, we should have told him, like, well, are you going to write books about all the patches? Because we need to know everything.
I want
Yeah.
on them all. And just for the followers, if you are a brand partner and you want to share this, I'm going to download it and upload it to Krystal's YouTube. So that's just easier to share in general. So you can find it there as well.
Yeah. It was great. Thank you guys.
Jen's mad.
She's mad. I have to, her head's exploding right now. I have to take Leo down. And he's literally.
He can jump off so she can jump on because the dogs are protesting.
He's CPs. He's CPs.
I'm out of here. Bye, guys.
But I love you guys. Have an amazing night, and I will repost this and post in my stories. Oh,
Yes.
I guess Julie left.
I know.
Yes, I gotta go. Have a good night, everybody. We're out.
Right. Exactly.
Adios. Bye. Adios. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. See you on Friday morning. No, shit, now it's not Friday anymore. It's at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Adios.